It's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts, and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Last week on my Facebook page, I actually did share this vase card. Now, there's quite a few different types of them on YouTube. I didn't particularly use any one's design. A lot of them are from I guess they're from videos that don't show the actual measurements. They just show how it's done. So I thought it would be nice to actually, well, firstly, I put it up on my Facebook site and said if anybody was interested, I would do a YouTube, and I got an overwhelming response from people, not only on the actual Facebook page, but also on the on my personal messages asking me to do a tutorial. So here I am doing a tutorial. It's an easy card to do. It really is quite easy. The thought of it came, I actually saw it several months ago, but then one of our lovely members, Kay, she actually did one, and she did several of them. They're beautiful cards. They're slightly different to this, but that gave me the inspiration not only to get back into the craft room, but it also gave me the inspiration to actually get one done. So this is my prototype, and I have made it into a card. So it sits obviously like so. I've made it a Christmas one. You can make it birthday. You can do whatever you want. It's called a fan card or a vase card. And you can, if you want, put a little vase in there, if you can find one small enough, and it can be used as a vase, or you could use it for something on your desk, such as putting your pencils and your paintbrushes in. Entirely up to you. But I've made it into a card because I've actually popped this little flap on the back, which then actually allows you to write a message, and then you can put this in a box, present it in a box, and give it to somebody who's near and dear to you. So this was the first one that I did, and this was, as I say, just very much a prototype. I just wanted to see how it was done. As you can see, it's different. I've made mistakes on this. That was on the outside. It should have been on the inside. But yeah, the concept was there, but then I thought, well, how am I going to write on that? That's going to make it very, very difficult to write on. So this is why I came up with the next generation, which was this one here, and I'll show you how to make that. The flowers that I've made, I've done a variety of different colours this time, mainly the reds and the golds. I'm going to show you how to make one of those. And I'm going to show you how to make sure that this is in the right spot as well. So, because this one, if you look at it, is not. It's around, this is why it's my prototype. It's around too far. It needs to be half an inch back this way, and then it would have been perfect. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It's, as I say, it's not that difficult, but it's probably easier to have someone show you rather than to follow it from a video that doesn't have any words or doesn't have anything, anybody saying anything. So let's get started. I'll just pop that up there. Firstly, please make sure your paper or your card is not very thick. I tried to do one, now let me have a little look. Here it is. I tried to do one with a 200 GSM card, and although it would work, you can see it kind of buckles here while you're trying to fold it up, and you'll see what I mean when I do that in a moment. So use a lightweight card. I think this is probably about 150, or yeah, not much more than that. And you will need probably 3 pieces, no, probably 2 pieces of this card. So for your measurements, you will need, and I'll grab this. Firstly, for the vase itself, you will need a A4 sheet of paper. Okay, so A4, and along this side, you need to come up 3 1/8 and put a little mark. Okay, you then take it off of your scoreboard, grab your knife and a metal ruler, because you don't want to be cutting yourself. and you want to make it sure it is nice and straight. And from that 4-inch mark, 3 1/8 inch mark there, right up into this corner, you need to make a cut. Now, I can just about do this on my cutting board, but it is a lot easier to do it just with a very nice sharp knife. And because it's not that thick, you don't have to press that hard. And there we go. Keep that aside because we can possibly use one of these pieces for the flap at the back of the card. Okay, now this is the vase. What I now need you to do is roughly about halfway up there, come in 5.5 inches. Okay, so let me just have a little look here. Yeah, about 5.5 inches. I'll just rub that out because that's only 5 1/4. Don't know what I was thinking there. So 5.5 inches. And then with a pencil, if I can find one, there it is, just put a little cross. Okay, so what I've done there is I have made the spot where the center of the sentiment is going to be. Okay, and I'll show you how to measure that in a moment. Now, for the base, and as you can see, there's a base on here. For the base, what I used was 3 pieces of, I think they're 600 GSM. You can use just corrugated cardboard. It doesn't matter. You're not going to see them. You need it to be reasonably thick because this needs to stick to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these together. Now, what I used, because I didn't have a compass, I did have a compass, but not one that worked. I used just one of these little pots, and it's roughly 2.5 centimeters in, 2.5 inches, sorry, in diameter. This one's just shy of that, but it doesn't really matter so long as you know how to test to make sure you've got your sentiment in the right spot. So I'm going to speed up while I stick all these together. Okay, so once they're stuck together, just let them dry. And now it's a really important factor that you now need to make sure that that cross is in the right spot. So what I tend to do, and just a little trick here, use some paper clips. Now you don't need this size, they're the only ones that I had, but going from this edge, okay, you're going to be going around here and just pop it over. It's hard when it's not glued, but just roll it over. As soon as you get it to the right spot there, you can take out that bottom part because that's only a guide, and oopsies, pick it up and just put a paper clip in there for now, and then put a paper clip right on this part here. Okay, now this is only to make sure. Okay, so that's a little bit big. Once you've got your paper clips in there, it's very easy to make this smaller by moving them around. So just pull it a little bit. And this is the easiest way that I can find. So that is roughly, whoopsies, that is roughly the right size, as you can see. Now what you need to do is, let's get just there. So your fan is going to come off of here. So you now need to make sure that your little cross, where this is going to go, the center of your sentiment is on that little cross. And that is sitting right at the front. I'm happy with that. So you can then take these off. That is just to test, because sometimes you might have something that is a little bit bigger for your base, and you really do need to get that in the right spot, because that really bothers me, the fact that it's around that way a little bit. It just should be another ½ inch in. So, but that's just me. So next thing we do is we do our sentiment. Now, the best way that I have found to do the sentiment is to actually use some washi tape and tape it to the grid on my mat. Okay, so making sure it's nice and straight, tape it to the grid. Now, on my my Merry Christmas just here, I have made sure that that is central, both up and down and from side to side, and it's very, very straight. So I have made sure that that is there. What I now need to do, and you can rub these lines out afterwards, is using that cross part there, put it through, and then make sure, using the grid lines, that your line is straight. So I'm just going to put a very faint line there. Also on this one, and once again, you can use your grid lines to make sure that it's relatively straight. And I'm just going to put across there. Okay. Now what I need to do is, obviously before I ink this up, I'm just going to show you how to do it. So there's your center on your grid. Okay. There's the center on that grid on the top. So that's the side, that's the top. And it's very easy, and I'm sorry if my head's in the way, but it's then very easy for you to line this up, making sure all of those grid lines are correct, and then put it down. Okay, so that's how you make it nice and straight. So I'm going to rub that very center darker bit out, because it's really these side bits that are going to be my guide now. So I'll rub the center bits out, and I'm going to use my Versamark. Better make sure it's up the right way now, hadn't I? There we go. Merry Christmas. Make sure you ink this up or glue this up really, really well to start with. Now, excuse my head being in the way, but I do need to make sure that this is straight. So I'm measuring up my lines, and I'm pretty happy with that. Once it's there, make sure you press down really well, because you can only do this once. It's not like a stamping platform. You can only do it the once. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I should have used my little cushion, and I didn't. Bad on me. But it's too late now. So I will cover that over and very gently take your washi tape off the corners. And you can see how easy it is. Ooh. Luckily, that's going to go inside, because that actually tore there. You can see how easy it is to actually get this correct if you do it that way. So that's just, and that's the same with anything that you do, just not this card, but anything that you do. Don't be scared to use washi tape and to line things up on your grid. Okay. I should have used the pillow, but I didn't. Very bad of me. Never mind. Okay. So next, obviously, I'm just going to use the heat gun and heat that up and emboss that. Okay, there we go. Now, we'll just rub those other lines out. That's why you don't make them too dark. But you can see that that is lovely and straight, because you can use the grids both on your mat and also on your stamper to make sure it's in the right spot. Okay. Now, one other thing that I find to be a little bit different from how all the other people do it is my decoration. I find it's easier to put it on before I start. So because this is only ribbon, if it was thicker you would need to do it afterwards, but because I can roll this just as easily with it on as I can without, I am going to put this on now. So I'll cut a piece just a little bit bigger than what I actually need. Now, it is really important to make sure, and this is one of the other things that bothered me about this, you see that you might just see that is actually sitting up a bit. So you do need to make sure that you use enough glue to cover that and to make sure that it does stick on correctly. So I'm going to use my mat here because I don't want glue all over my board. And I'm going to use the 450 quick dry adhesive, and I'm going to place a reasonable amount of it right on the edge of that diagonal. Okay. Holding this tight, I am then going to lay this down, starting at one end, finishing at the other, and making sure that that is well stuck. And if you pull it nice and tight, it goes nice and straight. As I say, if you're using a decoration that's got beading or anything like that, you will need to do this after the vase is actually made. But because I'm not doing that, I'm doing it this way, I don't need to. So there we go. There. Just here, exactly the same. Make sure you have got this ready first. Using glue also gives you the wiggle room to get it in position too. So, right, very simple now to just trim off your ends. You will need to put some around the base here, but we will do that once it's together. So we just trim that off like so, and trim it off like so. Okay, now while that's drying, because I think it probably could do with a little bit more drying time, I'm going to show you how to make these flowers. Now, I have made these before on other Christmas tutorials that I've got up on my channel, so please have a look for them. They're very, very, very easy to make. I use just a poinsettia, I've got to find it now, just basically a poinsettia die set that I have got. I think I've got some spares. If anybody wants them, just message me. Oh, I can't seem to find them. I've probably put them away. And they cut out. Now, this one has got 4 layers. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's my biggest one. This one has got 3 layers, as has that. These have only got the 2 layers. And this one here will only have 2 layers. Entirely up to you how many you want. But once they're cut out, you turn them upside down on a mat, on a spongy mat, and using a ball tool like so, let me just take all the glue off of that, otherwise it doesn't roll over it very well. You then basically break the bead in the cardboard and just press down, and you'll see that they start to take some shape. Okay, so just go round and round. Once you've done all of them, you'll see they start to lift. Turn it over, go down, do the other one. Then you simply glue these two together. Now, once again, as you can see, I have got some glue on here, and I'm going to try and get it off later. But if you put your mat over the top, you'll find that that won't happen. So you just put some glue down in the center and pop your top one over the top and stagger the petals using that same one. Press down again and just hold it just to allow it to dry. Now, I know you're not supposed to use glue on any of the specialty papers such as the glitter papers or this type of, but to be completely honest, I've never ever had any issues with them coming off or with them falling apart. So that is how you make the flowers. And with the magic of YouTube, here's some that I did earlier. Okay, now what we need to do is we now need to glue, this one should be dry, we now need to glue this around here. Okay, so you start with the shorter end, and what you need to do, because that's going to be your outside, this is your inside, you need just to put a little bit of glue down to start it off. The starting off is the hardest part, so you then need, as you can see, and you need a quick dry glue for this, you really do. Or you could use your glue gun. A lot of the ladies that were showing how to make these were using the glue gun, but I tend to get the glue gun everywhere. Once it's starting to get tacky, you can then continue a little bit further along. Okay, so right on that edge, and you can see what you're doing is you are just popping it around there. Okay, just need to hold that for a while. And we nearly have our cylinder. So when you get to around there, you just got to make sure that this does sit quite square. And it's just a case of being patient and holding it until it dries. Okay. And once you've got that dry, we can actually put some glue in here, and that will seal it together. Tend to get a pokey tool. It's still a little bit damp down there. Just press down to make sure that that's nice and even down the bottom there. And then what we can do is we can just put some glue in here that is going to bring it together. Okay. And once again, just hold it. Just have a little bit of patience and hold it. If you get a little bit of glue on the outside like I have there, don't panic too much. It's going to be covered over with some flowers. If it's not, you can always use one of these glue erasers that you can get from most craft shops. I think I got this one from one in Tasmania. But yeah, so, and there we have the first part of our, as you can see, it's the same. Right, now for the next piece. The next piece we need is, let me see, no, it's not that one. It's this piece here. So the next piece that we need is going to be just shy of a A4. So your the size across the top is going to be 11 inches. So that's 11 inches by whatever it is down here. It's 8 and just over 8 1/4, but that's just an A4 page. But I have made the long side 11 inches, and there's a reason for that, because when we start concertinaing, it really is important. Now, what you need to do is you need to put a little mark at the 4 inch. Okay, so on my other board it comes from there, but from the 4 inch, so little mark there, and then you draw a line from that mark up to the corner there. And once again, you need your knife and your metal ruler, and all you need to do is go from that 4 inch mark right up to the corner. There we go. Now what you need to do is, bringing in your scoreboard, you need to score this long side here at every 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to use one of my pokey tools here. I've got one there, this will do. So 1/2 inch, and bring it right the way down. Don't rush it, we don't want you to go off track. So at every 1/2 inch, and as you can see, this is what we're going to concertina. Right, so now what we need to do is we now need to just concertina this. Simple as that. So I use my my tool here just to make sure that it's burnished correctly. Turn it over, go the other way. And I just find that with the excuse me, with the fact that I have scored the lines, it just makes this part of it so much easier and so much more accurate too. So a lot of the ones that I did see, they didn't. They just started folding and concertinaing, and they might be good at it, but I'm not. So I prefer to be a little bit more precise. But that's just me. It's up to you what you want to do. So concertina this one all the way across to the end. Okay, So there we have our concertina. Okay. Next, what we've got to do is we now need to, let me think, I've done it the wrong way by the look of it. You need to have it so that when it, no, that's got to sit that way. Right, I have done the concertinas on this the wrong way. It's not a huge issue. You can just turn them back over and do them the other way. And I'll show you when I finished it why it's important to do it the correct way. Okay. Okay, now the reason I did it the other way is because that is the top, and you're going to bring this up. And it's better to actually have the two folds glued together rather than the other way around. I did, that one was all right. There was another one that I did that wasn't quite right. It was this one. And you'll see that that is the, it doesn't really matter, but instead of having a fold there, it was just the single pieces, and I just didn't like that as much as the fold. So when you've got your paper like so, make your first one here a mountain fold, or that one a mountain fold, and then you will have the correct way. Okay, so let's concertina it again. As you can see, I haven't made many of these cards. So, and then what you need to do, and this is where you need to make sure that your card or your paper is not too thick. That was too thick, and look what happened to it. So bring that one up and this one down, and kind of wiggle them together, and you'll see that you will get your spot just there. Okay, so they are going to be stuck together in a moment. Put your concertinas back, and where you have done that fold, just get some cotton, or in this case I've just got some braid, and go around it and tie it off. Okay. Okay. Now we need to glue that edge and that edge together. Okay. Okay, so now eventually that is going to be stuck just there. What we now need to do is we now need to do this piece here. Now there is no other way of doing this that I can work out other than freehand. So I'm just going to see if I can use some of these offcuts before I go too far into cutting into another piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bigger piece. I'm going to get my scoreboard out and down this whole side, and we're going to cut this away, but I am going to use my scoring tool, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Oopsies. Now that is what is going to tuck in just there behind the concertina. So once that's done, we can get rid of that. And unfortunately, this has to be done by hand. There is no other way that you can do it. Let's see. Okay, so basically, as you can see, I'm holding this edge up along that score line, because that is going to fold back on itself. And what I now need to do is just very gently once it's there, just very gently go around that fan shape. Okay, it won't be look very pretty, but it doesn't matter. Then the way I did it is I went in about 1/3 of an inch. Sorry, not 1/3 of an inch. I went in 3/8 of an inch. You could actually go in 1 centimetre. Okay, so basically from that very light, firstly let's go down 1 centimetre here, and then from that line just make some dots, and then so there's your 1 centimetre, and then this is to make it a little bit smaller than that so it doesn't overpower it. Okay, so now what you do is you get your scissors and you need to cut around that inside line, not the one you drew around initially, the one you've done 1 centimetre or about 3/8 of an inch in. So you cut straight across through that score line, and it's not going to be an even arc because you've got little bits and pieces in there and little bits and bobs. So just cut around, and when you get to your score line just there again, just go in at right angles. So now that is going to, if we get rid of the rubbish, if we use this there, you'll see that that's not that pretty because it's got the outside. So we cover over that and we glue that to there once we have put a message on there. Okay, and then that way you are going to get that effect. So before I go any further, I am going to, if it will fit, I'm going to put Merry Christmas on there as well. So okay, so here we go. We now have our flap. Now, one thing that is important is that you make sure you burnish this incredibly well. Okay, so it really is important that it sits as flat as possible. You then need to put some glue on here, and I just center it. It doesn't go right up. You don't want it to go right up, and you don't want it to come right down. So just in between there and there, I just glue it onto there. Okay, so I'll do that now. Now, I'm just going to put a little bit more glue on here, just to ensure that it is stuck. And I'm just going to hold that there because it really is important that it's stuck. Okay, so next what you do is put glue along there, and then you stick this so that it matches down the bottom, and you stick this right up there. Okay, that little bit at the top there we will trim off in a moment. So you need to put some glue along this piece here, and then you glue that, making sure that this here is straight. Okay, so it's a case of once again holding it and making sure that it is in the right position, and that before you let it go, it is dry. Now you'll see that there is a little piece up there. Just get your scissors and snip that off. And now we get to the fun part, which is the decorating. Now, firstly, you will need some more ribbon, because you need some ribbon down the bottom. So basically you need to take it from here all the way around the bottom. So I'll pop the glue all over me. Next is the fun part, and that is the decorating. Now, the first one I did just with white, just with gold. Got a little bit more adventurous this time, and I have used multicolour of the flowers. Now I'm just going to go. I'll just switch off for a moment whilst I put some little black beads in the centre there, I think, because I think that needs them. Okay, so I've just put some little bling in the centre of these. And now it's just a case of decorating them. I'm going to put the biggest one there. And I need one for the back, and I'll probably pop one of those just there. So I'll leave that to the side. And the rest of them are going to go wherever I see fit, I guess. So I'll speed it up while I'm decorating it, but you can actually see me decorating it. So okay, the other thing that I want to do is I want to put little diamantes in there, in each of these that you can see that they're quite closed, but I'm just going to pop these in there just to finish it off, and I might just put a few scattered around on the vase as well. Okay, so I finished my decoration. I decided to put flowers just there, there and there, and I also put one inside. And I've also used the little diamantes around the edge there, and I've just placed a few diamantes. When you're placing diamantes, always use uneven numbers, so you've got 5 there, 3 there, and 3 there. I've also popped a just a little poinsettia on the back there, and I will now put that into a box. Now I will link the box that I've done a tutorial on how to do boxes before, so I'm going to link that for you. You just need to measure as I show you in that video, and you will see that it's quite easy to make. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So I think anybody who would get something along those lines, even that one, even though it's not quite right, I probably could use that one as well, although that was my prototype. And as you can see, I made a mistake. That one, that's got it around the back. You can't see, everything's inside here. And I'll be honest, if you actually have a look in there, you can probably see where I actually did the embossing on the wrong side as well. But anyway, you can't see it inside, so there's that. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to call it my poinsettia. No, I'm going to call it the Vase Fan Card. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That really does help me if you could do that. If you want some more ideas there, I got this idea from one of our lovely members, Kay, on our Facebook site. So please head on over there. Put a request in if you're not already a member, and we would love to have you on board. There's some lovely people there. My administrators are just amazing, and yeah, it would be really, really great to have you there and to see some of the makes that you do as well. But firstly, as I say, thank you for watching me. I'm sorry that this was so long. I will try and make them shorter in the future, but it was important to show you certain aspects of this on how I do it and some of the tricks and things that I did to actually make it this way. So thanks for joining me. I hope to get back to you fairly soon. I'm a very busy person at the moment, but I hope to get back to you with another tutorial very soon. Thank you and good evening and happy crafting. Thank you.